What's up guys, it's Kamahley here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys who is placing better in Chapter 2 Season 2, whether it be controller or keyboard and mouse players. And if you're new to this channel, don't forget to drop a like or drop a sub. Also, to support me, use creator code Kamahley at Item Shop. And without further ado, let's get in the video. What's up guys, and as you guys know, Chapter 2 Season 2 is coming to an end. And with all the big input wars that's been going on in Fortnite, what I wanted to do now is make a series where at the end of the season, I compare the competitive stats of controller players and the competitive stats of keyboard and mouse players, just to see typically who was more on the top. So what I'm going to be doing is, I'm going to be using the EU and the NA East region only, since those are the two biggest regions. And I'm going to be using solo cups to compare the stats, because obviously if I use team game modes, people on controller and keyboard and mouse are on the same teams. So what I'm going to be doing is, from every solo cash cup to solo FNCS finals, I'm going to be showing the top 10 players from each cup. I'm going to be showing if each one of those players play controller or keyboard and mouse. Now, how it is going to work is, if you come first place and you're on controller, then that's going to be 3 points to the controller input category. And vice versa, if you're on first place and you're on keyboard and mouse, that's going to be 3 points to the keyboard and mouse category. And for everything else under the number 1, they're going to be gaining 1 point. For example, if it's a keyboard and mouse player in second place, it's going to be 1 point to the keyboard and mouse category. If it's a controller player in third place, that's going to be 1 point to the controller category. And if the player comes out to be a hybrid type of player, it'll be 1 point to both categories. And obviously the data is going to be a little bit biased, because I only did top 10 of each region and I only did 2 regions. So obviously if I did like top 50 and did every single region, it would be better data. But I did it manually to where I would have to find each controller and keyboard and mouse player, and I did it by myself. So maybe in the future, if I have people help me, I can do it for like every single region and do way more players. So the first region we're going to be starting off with is going to be NA East. And as a lot of you guys already know, when the season first started off, the cups just split up in solo and shadow. So I'm going to be showing them separately and putting winners for both of them. So the first cup I'm going to be showing is the Solo Shadow Cash Cup. The winner of this cup is a keyboard and mouse player, E11 Dexorida. 7 out of 10 of these players in this cup was on keyboard and mouse, 1 hybrid player, and 2 controller players. So keyboard and mouse is going to be starting off in the lead with 10 points and controller with 3 points. Now on the ghost version of this cup, we have Scope being the winner. 6 out of these players are on controller and 4 of these players are on keyboard and mouse, giving keyboard and mouse players 14 points and controller players catching up with 11 points. Next cash cup, the winner is Scoped. 3 out of the 10 players is on controller and 7 out of 10 is on keyboard and mouse, leaving keyboard and mouse players on 21 points and controller players on 16 points. Next cash cup, we got SPEX number 1 on keyboard and mouse. 7 out of 10 players being keyboard and mouse, leaving keyboard and mouse players on 30 points and leaving controller players on 19 points. And with the last shadow cup of the season, we have Outcast Miro on controller winning. 3 out of 10 of these players were on controller and 7 out of 10 of these players were on keyboard and mouse, leaving keyboard and mouse players on 37 points and controller players on 24 points. And for the last Ghost Cash Cup of the season, we have AV winning on controller, having controller players 6 out of the 10 and keyboard and mouse players 4 out of the 10, giving controller players a score of 32 and keyboard and mouse players a score of 41. So for the next 5 solo cash cups that were in the season, they were split up in round 1 and round 2. But I'm not going to show round 1 because round 2 was where the actual winners were at. Also, I thought it was going to be tedious if I showed every single one and I talked about all of them. So I'm going to put up a slideshow of the rest of them and you guys can pause to look at it if you want. And then I'm going to sum up who got the most points on controller or keyboard and mouse in the NA East region. So guys, out of those 5 cash cups I just showed you, 24 out of 50 of the players was controller and 26 out of 50 of the players are keyboard and mouse. So altogether, from those 12 cash cups that I showed you guys, keyboard and mouse players came out on top with 73 points and controller player trailing just behind with 60 points. But don't forget that we have one more cup, and it's the biggest one out of all of them, the FNCS Invitational Solos. And I'm just going to show this final stats. So because it's the FNCS finals and it took weeks to get to the spot, I'm gonna give the number 1 player 4 points instead of 3, and then see what we end up having after that. And this is gonna basically solidify what inputs were placing better in the NA East region. So the winner of FNCS finals was Furious, a controller player. 6 out of the 10 players were on controller, and 4 of them were on keyboard and mouse, making the final score giving controller players a 69, and keyboard and mouse players coming out on top with 77 points. Now it's time for me to show you guys the EU stats, and honestly this is quite surprising to me. And again, because I don't want it to be too long and tedious, I'm going to be showing you guys a slideshow of the 11 solo cash cups and obviously the FNCS Invitational solo finals. And then I'm going to sum them all up and see what Imbo is theoretically placing better. So the stats from you were really shocking actually. So out of all the 11 solo cash cups, everyone who plays top 10, 89 of them were keyboard and mouse players, and only 21 of them were controller players. So 89 out of 110 players in the top 10 were keyboard and mouse, and only 21 were controller. And out of all those cash cups, not including round 1, just round 2, only 1 controller player won one of the cash cups. Now, I'm going to show you guys the last tournament from EU, the FNCS Invitational Solo. And to be honest, we already know what the input winner is going to be, even with these stats. And the winner is Wave Janice, which is a keyboard and mouse player, making it 8 keyboard and mouse players out of 10, and 2 controller players out of 10 for the EU FNCS Invitational Finals. Leaving the final scores for EU, 122 points for keyboard and mouse, and 25 points for controller. So guys, I don't know if it was just me, but I thought it would be way more controller players than EU on top, but it definitely wasn't. In the top 10, it mostly was keyboard and mouse players throughout the whole Cash Cup and FNCS finals. So all in all guys, surprisingly to me, keyboard and mouse players were doing substantially better than controller players, especially on EU. And altogether, I do think keyboard and mouse players were placing better than controller players this season. Now we're gonna wait till next season and see which one of them plays better. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed, don't forget to drop a like or drop a sub. Also, to support me, don't forget to use creator code Kamahley in item shop. It's Kamahley, and I'm out.